So here are 5 easy hacks for meta ads to improve performance almost instantly. Now, I don't normally recommend obviously the kind of, I guess, thinking around improving your performance, but here's some like 4 or 5 quick tips that you can essentially do like straight away that don't require any new creative as you prepare, or as you do potentially a creative audit, or you prepare and you wait for new creative to come in. There's some stuff like more medium buying hacks that actually work right now, and I think they'll be good to kind of share because I've seen some very good results with each one of those, and especially these are working very good. Again, as I get a new client, for example, these are some of the key first steps that I do when I want to, again, gain performance in the short term, what I'm doing a more creative audit and kind of planning next steps in terms of what we need from a creative perspective. Now, the first one is such an important one, and it's actually a new feature that Meta actually introduced. I think quite recently. I think maybe it's like a few months old, but is the incremental attribution setting, and not incremental attribution. Essentially, what that is like is a way that Meta now can optimize to reach essentially new conversions that are incremental to the business, and not just obviously attribution for any kind of purchases. So that what that would do is essentially we can signal Meta to go after new audiences and gain conversions that are incremental to the business, and actually, incremental to their business revenue in lack of better terms. That again, it can essentially like refresh in terms of like some of the creatives that we have seen performing very well, and deliver them in a kind of different way to gain that incrementality that we want. So the action point of this, like, take your top performers, look back maybe 2 years ago, obviously make sure they are relevant, and launch them using the incremental attribution window. And this is actually an account that, okay, this is obviously lost me. I just launched, but you can see like straight away, you can see the instant lift that you get, much less frequency, much less CPMs. And this is such a great way to do this. Now, how you can do this is very simple. If you're going into an asset level and you create a new ad set, scroll down, you will find here attribution model. Make sure you use incremental. And as you can see, what it says basically optimize delivery for incremental conversions using models that predict whether conversion is caused by an ad. So again, it's just a different way to enter that function, and a great setting to choose and test also at like more like scale level as well. But I think that's such a great cook tip here. No, number 2 is going to be around relaunch with flex ads. Now, another kind of, I guess, quick hack that you can do is Meta is like really pushing the kind of flexible format. If you don't know what flexible format is essentially like you're giving them, think about it, if you know about the dynamic ads back in the day, when you potentially could give Meta like 10 creatives, and then it will dynamically push them in a way that based on what it sees better performance with, essentially. So the flex format is basically aligning now with Meta's, I guess, more diversity and kind of focusing into the creative. So you give them 5 ads, it doesn't guarantee that it will be, it's essentially it will push the ad however it kind of feels like. Maybe it's like with a catalog. Obviously, we prioritize different ads based on performance. And the only caveat to that to say, because I know it's going to be tricky for some people, is going to be around for business essentially that obviously they want to have full control over that kind of delivery. Maybe you are a bit more strict in terms of brand. Again, it doesn't guarantee you how it will actually deliver your ad, and you can't really see which ad performs the best. And I think that that's the whole point, because we don't ruin it. But essentially, it's also a very simple format to actually use. If you go onto the ad level, and if you scroll down, you'll see here potentially that doesn't show initially, but you go more options, you can see the flexible. You can do multiple ads. I tend to recommend again grouping different videos and different statics, not together. So in a kind of different ads essentially. So pick your like 10 top performers in from a static perspective, your kind of 10 top performers from a video perspective, and then launch them into a new ad set or a new campaign, ideally with all those winners. Now, number 3 is relaunch with a cost cap. Maybe potentially like a bit of a kind of more, I guess more old school hack, but definitely works. Had a recent scenario when it actually dropped CAC by 45%. And what I've done is actually grouped all the top performers over the last 6 months into a new campaign, new ad set, and then I put a cost cap on it. And the cost cap that I put is essentially 20% more than my average CPA on Meta. So I make sure I get delivery and I'm start getting that information back to Meta, and it can optimize. And then what I do every 2 days is I'm actually optimizing the bid. So if I say I don't have any, for example, volume, any spend, I'm going to increase the cost cap. If I do have a lot of it and potentially very low efficiency, I'm going to decrease the cost cap. And it's a bit of a more hands-on kind of play around with it over the next few days, over the next few weeks. But again, it can really squeeze those low hanging fruit and squeeze more efficient CPAs. And especially if you're really struggling with efficiency, it can be a great way to match that CAC. Now, it's not the easiest way to kind of get scale. It's much easier to obviously put it on a highest volume. That said, I've seen accounts scale only with cost caps. I don't personally do it, to be honest, because it's just very tricky to hit some spend targets and kind of revenue targets. But if you're really, really looking for efficiency and you haven't really tried cost caps at all, and you have data inside the account, which is another caveat. If you're back buying your account, it's gonna be very difficult for Meta to know like what exactly is it kind of actually optimizing for, and what's the specific target or cost per purchase. So this definitely works with when you have a bit more data in. But yeah, something to definitely do. And I'll put here some kind of examples of my tests as well, as you can see. Now, relaunch, as you can see, it's all about relaunching ads, like creating new ads. However, this is going to be a bit different. Like, there's a way that we can relaunch all the assets with potentially like fresh copy. And by copy, I mean primary text. Now, again, the incremental result and impact is going to be questionable. This is more so like, again, short-term tactic. I'm not necessarily recommend this to be a BAU stuff, but if you're really struggling and you want to save some time, it doesn't harm to refresh that copy and relaunch into a new campaign as well, because yeah, essentially that'll be good. Or for example, you can also relaunch without the post ID, which is a bit also controversial, but it can help potentially to again refresh I guess the kind of targeting with obviously with that engagement. Potentially Meta really has specific view in terms of who to target. Or the best version of that will be to slide different openings. So if you have maybe potentially you can bring some of the clips inside the video, and potentially do a slightly different hook, so it's like a slightly different opening. That will be much more effective, and you're still kind of building on that same kind of winning format. And last but not least, it's relaunched with value bidding. Now, value bidding is something that definitely has worked quite well recently. Now, the only caveat with value bidding is that it works better on those businesses that have multiple products, being whatever kind of high range of SKUs, because obviously optimizing for the maximum amount of value and ROAS essentially. And it goes out there to find people who are fine with buying a larger AOV through paid social and through ads. So obviously if you have just one product, again, it's going to be difficult to, I guess, gain that incremental increase on AOV. However, I have done this into a very specific business where they were selling essentially like some I guess leggings, but more so like weight loss leggings. So basically, it was one SKU, and I think we had seen around 18% in AOV as well. So something to test. Again, very simple to test. If you go inside the ads manager, you will need to create a new campaign if you essentially have everything optimized in lowest cost. But it's very simple. Go into sales. And again, something also works very well if you have data. If you don't have data, again, it's going to be hard for Meta to optimize. But if you go towards highest volume, you can see here highest volume. You can go into maximize value of conversions. It's not just maximize number of conversions, you maximize the value of conversions. And as I said, that's it. You can also set a ROAS target. I don't recommend it initially. And you can also test that. Again, some of those top performing ads, you may refresh them and just hit a completely different segment of people inside Meta to gain performance. And then here's some like 5 top meta ad hacks to really quickly improve performance. I think you can knock like couple really today after this video, especially like the first 2 is what I've seen. The first 3, I would say, what I've seen the best results with. But at the same time, don't sit and wait. Do a full creative audit, brief new creatives, just move forward with the stuff that actually drive performance and move the needle. But yeah, if you have If you want to see more free stuff like that, feel free the link below. I'm gonna have a free course, and if you also want to work with me, also there's an option below. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. Appreciate it, and yeah, see you in the next one.